Do you remember the horizontal translations from Math 20-1? Horizontal meaning moving, yeah, right and left, right? Do you remember where they were? They were inside. For example, if I looked at that old formula of ax minus p squared plus q, remember now that we changed the q's to k's, and I'm okay with that. Get it? Okay with that. Dad joke. Okay. And now we're changing the p's to guess what? I'll erase this so you can see it. We're changing it to h's. So our movements now are no longer p's and q's. P's and q's are specific to parabolas and Math 20. We're changing it to h's and k's, and the reason why we're choosing h's and k's is because we want you to see that this is in fact going to be horizontal movements for all functions, not just parabolas. So h's are our horizontal ones. Now, here's the cool thing about this. Remember that they had to be within this bracket. So look for it. Look what we have here. Remember y equals to x squared? Y equals to x squared. We got a dot here, 1 and 1, 2 and 4, right? 2 and 4, there it is, and we moved it like this. Bada boom. Okay? Now look. If you look at this particular value, that value is a 3, which means, if you remember from last year, the actual value for h is 3. The reason why is because the negative has to sit there. Do you remember that negative? Right? Right there. Oops, can't really see it the way I drew it. That negative is sitting right here. Okay? That value is 3, so that means you're going to move it 3 to the right. So think about it. Every single point gets moved 3 to the right. So take this point here. 1, 2, 3. It is now here. Take this point, which was 1, 1. It's now over 1, 2, 3, which is right here. Take this point, move it 1, 2, 3. It's now here, and so on. And eventually you're going to get a graph with all the points moved 3 units to the right. Take a look at this one now. If that was originally a negative here, how do you make this into a positive? Real simple. Your h value has to be a negative 3, which means you are moving left. Okay, so you would take this guy, this point here from the original graph, go 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3, there's your new vertex. This guy here, 1, 2, 3, there's your new line. This guy here, 1, 2, 3, there's your new line. So you're going to get every point shifted 3 units left. So when you ask yourself the question here, what effect does the parameter of h have on the functions? H moves things horizontally right and left. So here's our big summary statement. Compared to the graphs of y equals to x squared, the graph of this with the transformation in there, which we call a translation now. Remember, translation means move, and the best way to remember that is if you move from country to country, you've got to translate your words into the new language. So translation means move, all right? So this h means a horizontal, right? Horizontal shift of h units. So if h is bigger than 0, even though it sits at a negative, remember, even though this sits and it looks negative, the h value is actually a positive. Right? That's the thing that people have problems wrapping their brain around, and it's because of this original formula here. The original formula, let me clean this up for you so you can see it. The original formula already has the negative in it, right? So if you put a negative, that becomes a positive. If you put a positive, it stays negative, right? That's the hardest thing for people to wrap their brains around. So if the h is a positive, the graph moves right and will look negative in this function, right? Okay, if the h is negative, this moves left. All right, so the notation is used. Why? Because again, just like before, the notation is used because the h here inside with the x places emphasis on a transformation of x. So we're going to see what that is all about in the upcoming podcasts. Okay, so let's put this kind of together, and remember that our first one was a minus k, right? That put emphasis on the y, and our second one was an f of x, whoops, apologies, okay, an f of x with an h value, which put emphasis on the x. So really important to keep those two separate.